Alright, this is going to be my last take because I kind of want to go to sleep. I'm super tired. And I still have 2 days of work left. I have tomorrow and I have Sunday. And then I am off for a whole week. And I'm so excited. But we're going to talk about the Galil Ace today, in which this is going to be a before you buy video. You must watch this. So there are a couple issues with the Galil Ace that we're going to talk about. Some of the obvious ones, some of ones that the people have been reporting about for ages now. The fact that this thing is overgassed. And then one of them that I recently discovered that nobody on YouTube has ever talked about, but everybody on Reddit has been talking about. So let's talk about the Galil Ace. And the Reddit posts that I've seen, I had about 7 people that have talked about the same issues that they've been facing, but a lot of people have been, looking at it and thumbing up it and stuff like that and trying to figure out how to remedy these issues. But we're going to talk about that in a second. So right now, I'm getting a muzzle device for this thing, and that's just going to help with the recoil. Recoil is definitely up there. Now, when it came to shooting, over time, I kind of mastered the pattern in which this thing is shooting. So that bird cage, it kind of works. But I'm getting that muzzle device anyway, just so that way I can shoot a lot flatter. But the recoil definitely is something that you can manage over time, and you can keep that bird cage if you feel like it. It's not going to hurt you if you end up keeping it. I'm just removing it and putting a new one on there because I really, really would like to shoot flatter. I think it would just benefit me. But I digress. The thing about the Galil Ace is it is overgassed, and because it's overgassed, everything is just cycling and just chunking super hard when it cycles. It's just like bam, right? It's just like bam and hitting, and then it goes super fast into battery. And so because of that, I have an LPVO. Yes, I do. And I'm just shooting out here, just bang, right? And then all of a sudden I'm off target, and then I have to like slowly guide it back in. And then after that, I'm pretty much on target again. Over time, I kind of mastered the pattern in which it's shooting, and I've been able to shoot a bit faster. And which the predictability of the trigger, as well as how the recoil is and stuff like that. Over time, you're going to be able to develop the skills and how to shoot this thing. But still, it is a bit gassy. So you probably want to go for a different model, like the 7.62 model, 7.62 by 39 model. That one is a little bit more viable. Now, it's still going to be overgassed, but you're not going to be running into these heavy recoil issues that the 5.56 variant just suffers from. Next thing you're going to want to know is, the 5.56 cartridge, it relies on fragmentation. If you do not get perfect amount of velocity, you're not going to get that fragmentation. The 8.3-inch model you're going to want to avoid, although it does seem like it's, kind of appetizing. I would avoid that, especially since I think it's like an extra $100 from what I've seen on PSA's website. That's where I ended up buying this one. But yeah, PSA's website, it's like an extra $100 compared to the 7.62 by 39 8.3-inch model. And I was like, dude, that's ridiculous, but okay. And then this one was only $1 more than the 7.62 by 39 8.3-inch model. So it really just... Look, for me, it would make more economical sense for me to just buy this 5.56 variant. I have a bunch of AR magazines, no rifle to shoot it out of. And I have a bunch of 5.56 ammo, no gun to shoot it out of. So I ended up getting the 5.56 variant, and I ran into these issues. It doesn't come with sights. something that every gun should do is come with iron sights at least. At least if like you want, pop-ups. The pop-ups aren't that expensive. Just smack them on there, IWI. It really doesn't take much. Just smack them on there. Or just go back to the Gen 1s. If you ever make a Gen 3, get the fixed iron sights. It's not going to hurt it. But just, get something for this thing, because the no iron sights and you're putting it at an $1,800 price point, it really just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I would definitely think about that. You're going to have to spend money to get sights, or for me, an LPVO. Another thing you want to consider with this thing is the buffer tube only comes with one position notch. It does not come with an adjustable buffer tube or adjustable brace. I had to buy an extra brace, or I had to buy a buffer tube and replace my buffer tube originally, because it only has one notch, which is almost all the way closed. That is the only position. And the reason why they do that is because they have to have a specific length on the pistol in order to import it. So it's kind of dumb in my opinion, dumb laws, but you know what? That's what they got to do. I don't mind shedding the $26. That was just my thing. The next thing that you have to consider is it's got M-LOK. And if you have a grip that you want, well, here's the thing. I wanted this grip. I found it on Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I really enjoyed looking at it. And it's angled, so it is perfectly legal. But the problem was I needed a Picatinny rail, so I needed to get an M-LOK Picatinny rail, so that way I can go ahead and put it on there. I ended up getting it from Magpul. I think it was like $13, and I ended up getting it shipped, put it on there, and now we're good to go. But yeah. Okay, so now that we got the common stuff out of the way, let's talk about the one thing that I encountered that I didn't think I'd be encountering, and it kind of annoys the hell out of me. The tolerances on this thing are pretty tight, right? And not only that, but the feed ramp is more oriented towards the 7.62 model, which is a girthier cartridge. Whereas this one is a more 5.56 is a more narrow cartridge. There's not going to be as much curvature on the round and everything like that. With that being said, this thing has been having issues now. 12 rounds, really only 8 of them have been serious issues. 12 rounds out of 325 rounds have been malfunctions. Again, the 4 that I'm talking about are they were underloaded. The rounds were underloaded, and they just wouldn't cycle. So it would go back and it would go forward, but no round would chamber. So we had to go ahead and rack the charging handle, and then it would shoot. So I kind of tallied that into the amount of malfunctions that I've had with this thing. But the rest of them, the 8 that I've had out of the 325 rounds, have all made it, basically, to put it bluntly, my rounds just ended up getting foreskin. Now, here's what's happening. The feed ramp is not smooth enough for the 5.56 cartridge to smoothly go into battery, right? So and then not only that, in conjunction with that, this thing is over-gassed. So the gun is cycling super fast, and then the cartridge isn't the feeding ramp isn't oriented just right for the cartridge to just smoothly make its way into the chamber. No, what it's doing is it's getting caught onto the feed ramp and then pushing itself in, and then thus that's when the foreskin is developed. So that's what happened, right? And so yeah, that's it. That's a big issue in my book. Now, granted, again, 8 out of the 12 times that I've had these issues, out of the 325 rounds, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but it is a big deal for me, and it'll definitely be a big wager for you. Now, granted, if you like this thing, if you really want one of these, the 556 model, I am not against you getting it. I think it's a fantastic model, and I would pick it any day of the week. And again, just in an economical stance, I already have the magazines, I already have the ammunition. I'm going to pick it. All right, any day of the week. Not to mention, this thing was only $1 more. I think this one was $1 more than the 7.62 by 39 8.3 inch model. So this one just felt viably, like it felt right for me to get. So I ended up getting it, right? But $1,800 is $1,800, and if I'm going to get $1,800 worth of a gun, I want it to run when it comes right out of the box. I don't believe that if you're going to spend that kind of money on a pistol, rifle, shotgun, anything of that sort, it needs a break-in period. Those things need to run right out of the gate. But my dad suggested that it could just be tight tolerances and that this thing just needs to break in a little bit. So give it 500 rounds and you'll go ahead and see some improvement. I'm going to take him up on his word for that. Now, he doesn't own a Galil Ace, but him knowing firearms more than I do, or at least him having experience with firearms more than I do, I do trust his word. So I'm going to go ahead and get this up to 500 rounds, and then I'm going to get 500 more rounds, and I'm going to shoot that consistently in one day and see how this thing runs. If in the event that I do have another malfunction, we'll be doing a follow-up video on what the malfunction is. But if once I reach 500 rounds and I go ahead and start shooting those other 500 rounds and I don't have any issues whatsoever, and then I'm going to update you guys on that. The fact that this thing broke in properly and now it's running 100%. But this is the part of the video where I'm just going to say I'm disappointed. Not necessarily in the gun itself, just at IWI for pricing this thing so expensive that, I question some of my financial decisions. Or really specifically this financial decision, because I've heard so much good stuff from IWI. I've seen what people have been saying, but this is where I'm kind of concerned because IWI and YouTube, I don't know if they're collaborating or something, but you don't see any issues with the 5.56 model, but people on Reddit have been talking about these issues for 2-3 years now. And so I'm going to make it public today on YouTube for you guys because this is a huge issue that I found out about that I didn't do this kind of this extensive research on, and I based it on the premise that the Galil has always been a reputable gun. It's always worked 100% of the time. And now I'm seeing that this thing doesn't. So it is a bit of a huge issue for me. With that being said, though, this gun, by far, I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. And I'm not going to stop enjoying it. I'm going to keep shooting it, and I'm going to depend my life on it because at the end of the day, 8 malfunctions out of 325. Really 12, but most of them were due to the gun, and then some of them were due to bad ammunition, as you can tell. Winchester specifically has been a big issue, but any other cartridge from any other manufacturer hasn't really had any issues. So Winchester, I'm going to stay away from, and I advise that you stay away from. But not only that, this is definitely the question that you're going to want to ask yourself. The 5.56 model Galil Ace. This thing already comes bare bones with no sights, a buffer tube that only has one position, and it has a lot of recoil. Not to mention, it needs an adjustable gas block to run properly. Do you really think that that is worth close to $1,800? If it is, then by all means go for it. And if you are so inclined that you want to buy this gun and just go ahead and shoot it, you don't care, you can make that money back, do whatever. I really do incline for you to I really insist that you get a Galil, because at the end of the day, it's your money, for one. Number two, the Galil is fun. Don't get me wrong, it is absolute fun. But as of right now, in the state that I'm kind of putting this thing on, it's only going to be fun until we remedy these issues. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but not to fret. I am going to document everything that I do to this thing on top of what I've already done, and I'm going to document it for you guys so that way I can tell you exactly what you need to do to make sure that you do not come across these issues. Once I am able to remedy these issues altogether, then I am going to document it for you. In the meantime, let me tell you guys what some people on Reddit has said works for the most part, and then we'll cut the video here. But again, just what they encountered. Some people have dremeled the feed ramp, and it ended up working perfectly fine 100% of the time. No issues, no squibs or anything like that. Some people have reported that the K&S gas block is going to allow some of that gas to vent out upwards, and it's not going to be so harsh on the action, and it's going to remedy some of it. But that's pretty much it. Those are the only two things that people have been saying that kind of works. The K&S gas block, in which there's a specific gas block that you need to buy for the 5.56 13-inch model and 16-inch model. So you got to find that, which it's out of stock on a lot of places. And then getting a Dremel. Why do I have to do that? That is something that I'm not too comfortable with, but I would trust a blacksmith or a gunsmith to do it. So I'm probably going to do that. Get a gunsmith to Dremel that just a little bit, polish it, and then call it a day and see if that works. If it does, then I'm going to be ecstatic. But in the meantime, I don't trust myself to do that. I'm not going to attempt to do that. But yeah, is it worth $1,800 for you? That is the main question. Is this gun worth $1,800? If you really truly believe it is worth $1,800 for all the issues that I've encountered. Now, this is not saying that this is every single gun. This is only what I've encountered on my firearm. And you have a chance of getting what I got. Do you really think it's worth taking a chance on it? If so, then by all means, grab yourself that gun. Because at the end of the day, it still is a lot of fun, and it is worth every bit of every cent that I put towards this thing to making it what it is now. For me, it's good enough, but it's just there could be a lot of improvements, and I think that's something that IWI needs to address. But in the meantime, I'll just do it. I'll just do it myself and get this thing functioning 100%. Anyway, guys, you guys have a great day. Love y'all. God bless, and be talking to you soon.